Hey guys, and welcome to one more episode of Builder Nation. For today's agenda, we have Billy, CEO at Knightscope, a company building autonomous security robots to fight crime. So welcome, Bill. Super happy to have you here. Welcome to Builder Nation's podcast.
Greetings from Silicon Valley. Thanks for having us. By way of intro, I'm a former automotive executive. I spent 10 years at Ford Motor Company, 12 different jobs, 4 different continents. If you look over my LinkedIn profile, I kind of look unemployable during that time. I kept getting new jobs and new assignments. I worked on 4 continents, was able to work in Japan with Mazda, helped set up a new plant for Ford of Brazil. My second to last job there, I was director of mergers and acquisitions. My last job, ill-advised, I was the founder and chief operating officer for a subsidiary I built for Ford. Convinced the board to release $250 million to me to do a roll-up in the used parts industry. Fast forward to Knightscope, this April, we'll be celebrating our 10th anniversary. I think the statistical probability of founding a company, getting it funded, growing it, listing it on NASDAQ, and then in the same year buying another company doesn't happen very often, as most startups, 95% of them end up failing. And so I'm grateful to our very awesome team that has relentlessly been working for the last decade on building some profound new technology. So we have this crazy mission to see if we can make the United States of America the safest country in the world. And we've built a new groundbreaking set of capabilities to give officers and guards really smart eyes and ears for them to do their jobs much, much more effectively. These autonomous security robots that we build are a unique combination of self-driving autonomous technology, robotics, artificial intelligence, and electric vehicles. So 4 really hard things, and we thought to make it really hard is just combine the 4 really hard things into one really, really hard thing. But we've got it working. We've generated millions and millions of dollars of recurring revenue for a recurring societal problem, which is crime and terrorism. We're getting close, I think, here about operating nearly 2 million hours across the country. And, when we started the company back in 2013, I was told the following: hey, Bill, you're out of your mind. This will never work. It's hardware and software, too complicated. You should pick one. And physical security is not an investment thesis. You need to go away. So we ignored all those people and did what we said we were going to go do. And now we're just in the process of scaling up the company and continuing to grow.
Now that you're mentioning that you're growing during this phase, I know that last December you guys signed 3 new contracts and that 2 of those clients are with colleges. So how was that transition like?
Everything goes very smoothly. Nothing ever goes wrong. Everything's perfectly to plan to the second. I'm just kidding. What we're doing is extremely difficult. It requires a lot of resource and a lot, like most companies, never enough time, never enough resource, never enough budget. But we've just been continued to execute. And, we've grown not only with the schools, but commercial real estate, corporate campuses, hospitals, casinos, manufacturing facilities, logistics facilities, basically anywhere you see indoors or outdoors, mostly outdoors, where you might see a police officer or security guard patrolling is an opportunity for Knightscope. And yeah, we've been putting out a new announcement almost every week of multiple contracts going. We're scrambling right now. The COVID supply chain nightmare was crazy last year. Now we have a different problem, which is we've got probably $4 million worth of backlog orders, and we're trying to get all these machines built and deployed, but we're working through it.
And now that you're mentioning the pandemic and that's the supply chain issues, how did you manage to solve them? Because talking with different CEOs and founders in the industry, most of them keep telling the same, how hard is to solve the supply chain issues?
Well, one of the things I like about founders and entrepreneurs, they usually have a screw loose and they don't care what the problem is. It's like, oh, there's a problem, but how are we going to fix it? It doesn't matter if it's supply chain, recruiting, governance issues, funding issues, whatever it is. Like, okay, it's a problem. All right, how do I fix it? And for us, and this doesn't apply to everyone, but for us to resolve the supply chain issues, one, you need to be nimble. Like I remember some attorneys asking us, like, right when the pandemic kind of started, like, so exactly how many days are you off in terms of your plans? And it's like, do you know how this works? You can't do that. We just sent out a quote for, I don't know, 100 GPUs, and the vendor says it'll be 52-week delivery. And then we're like, yeah, that's not gonna work. And then a week later, they requote and say 26 weeks. And then 2 weeks after that, they send us 2/3 of the shipment. And then a month after that, the rest of it showed up. How are you supposed to plan around that? You can't. So you got to be nimble, first. Second, we ended up with multiple brokers around the world, finding 2 over here, 20 over there, 30 over there, sometimes paying a premium to get what you want. Sometimes if we had capital to do it, we would buy ahead. There's a whole host of things, and you got to be able to like look at different bits in the toolbox and figure out which one to address. And the problem that you fixed last week is not going to be the problem this week. So you got to be able to keep pounding at it. And that's what founders do. They just keep pounding on it until they get what they want.
Wow. It sounds like you have to be all hands on deck, right? And especially not only being the founder and CEO, but also, I mean, how do you organize the operations team, the engineers, all of that? How is your day-to-day like?
Managed chaos. So one thing that makes things really hard is we actually design everything. We do all the engineering pretty much in-house, all the mechanical, electrical, firmware, software. We build the machines ourselves. We physically build them ourselves in California. We deploy them, and then we support them 24/7, 365. It's pretty vertically integrated, so that leads to a lot of challenges and opportunities. You got to be able to switch from organizational structure discussion and workload that I just had before we got on this call to be able to have a chat with you and then go work on investor relations for an hour and then go deal with another fire and then go work on a proposal for an awesome new client. You got to be able to do everything, but you also have to be able to guide and rely on an awesome management team. Like any family or any company, teams have issues, not everyone's perfect, including myself, but you got to be able to work through your strengths and weaknesses. And we've got a lot of teammates that have been at the company for 10 years, for 6 years, for 4 years, and continue to have at it. You're going to go through ups and downs, but you find out who's for real when things are down.
I think what you're mentioning is the key, right? The team that you built over 10 years, I think that's the key to every organization. And talking about purchasing, during the pandemic, wasn't it hard to find the pieces in order to build the robot?
Yeah, but if you have a head of operations who is fluent in mechanical engineering, in production, helped build satellites for 15 years, knows a little bit about cars, has been at it for 4+ years, and has a network of folks, you need that multi-talented person to be able to be empowered and here's the budget, go, and sometimes make hard decisions with him or her. And you just got to be able to have seasoned people do this. What we're doing is not normal, and in the history of mankind, no one's ever done this at scale. And I believe Knightscope's one, if not the only company in the world operating 24/7, 365, level 5 autonomy with real clients in the real world, generating millions of dollars of revenue.
And talking about the next steps of the company, what will you say they are for Knightscope?
For us, probably the most rewarding is a happy client, and one that we can make a big impact. And if you go to knightscope.com/crime, you can see the long list of wonderful things that these machines have already done for society. And we're just getting started. And so long term, I'm hoping, there's 1 million officers out there and 1 million guards just trying to secure the country with the technological equivalent of a number 2 pencil and a notepad. And we hope that over the coming years, we'll be able to put about 1 million machines in network across the country so we can help them so they can actually do their jobs much, much more effectively.
Are you guys planning on expanding anytime soon? Maybe Asia or something like that?
Not in the near term, and that gets a lot of people frustrated or excited. I've worked on 4 continents. I kind of know what it takes. What I've said publicly is basically, once we've secured the US and we're in all 50 states and we're bored out of our mind and we have nothing else to do and we have 500 million cash on hand, we can start looking at other countries. But until then, absolutely not. 95% of startups fail. And part of it is the CEO is not willing to say no. And the answer is no for now, but you never know in the future.
And last but not least, do you have any advice for future entrepreneurs starting on this path?
The first one is founders should really pick something that they absolutely love, are illogically attached to or possessed, or just laser focused on winning and getting what they want done, because the journey is extremely painful. Whatever you're fighting for, you better be willing to be up at 3 a.m, making the most excruciating decisions, forcing what you want to happen. The second one I would give you is, so the way we raised the capital, I raised just north of $120 million from 35,000 investors to build all this stuff from scratch. No VCs, no hedge funds, no PE shops, before the public listing. And one of the things that founders are often or told is you need to focus on product market fit. No one, because most of the people in the ecosystem that provide the financing never discuss capital to company fit. What is the type of capital that you actually need for what you're trying to accomplish? There is a time and place for venture capitalists, but that's not the end all be all. And probably 99% of the time is the wrong answer. Most people won't tell that to a founder because most of the people that provide the capital have their own little club as to how they, take advantage of companies and founders.
Thank you so much for sharing, Bill. I cannot tell you how much I enjoyed this interview. Thank you for being super real. I think that's something I value and our audience values the most from a CEO or a founder. So thank you so much for being here. And do you have any social media handles? Where can people find you? Where can people find the company?
You can find me on LinkedIn, William Santana Li. I'm the CEO of Knightscope. Visit knightscope.com, and our stock trades on NASDAQ under the ticker symbol KSCP.
Perfect. Thank you. And remember, guys, that you can also find more information, interesting articles, interesting interviews just like this one with Bill directly on our website, ControlHub.com/builder-nation. We would love to hear from you. And once again, Bill, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time. Absolutely. I highly appreciate it. We loved having you on the podcast today.
All right. Thanks for having us. Be good. Take care.